Today I'm going to be reading you a book called Substitute Creature by Chris Gall. I love the pictures in the book. Really sets up the story for us. Starting to make some predictions about what's going to happen in the book. And I'm thinking, just from reading the title, Substitute Creature, it kind of reminds me of a connection that I have about a substitute teacher. On a windswept day in late October, the students in Miss Jenkins' class arrived to a surprise at school. "Substitute teacher today," announced Peyton. Amanda giggled and scribbled on the chalkboard. Luke performed a circus act. Gavin laughed like a mad scientist. Then, at precisely 8 o'clock, the doors to the classroom creaked open, and the substitute entered the room. "Good morning to all. My name's Mr. Creacher. Miss Jenkins has asked me to step in as teacher. She claims that this class has grown quite out of hand, so I'm here to warn you, we're taking a stand." Amanda snickered at the way he spoke. Gavin opened a fresh box of tacks. The creature glared. "If you're plotting some mischief, please don't even try. In the back of my head, you'll find more than one eye." Luke drew an eye on his own forehead. Mr. Creature didn't think that was funny at all. "Attention all scamps, all rascals and fools. For 49 years I've visited schools. I've collected some tales with lessons are grave about boys and girls who didn't behave. They'll give you the goosebumps, they'll shiver your skin. Now pay strict attention. It's time we begin." And with that, Mr. Creature reached into his bag. Now, I want you to pause the video real quick, and I want you to think, what do you think Mr. Creature is going to pull out of his bag? And on the next slide, type in your answer. What do you think Mr. Creature is going to pull out of the bag? Pause me now, type your answer, and come back. Then he pulled out a tattered file. "Keith, case number 5B27. First we meet Keith, a hungry young lad. Snacking on glue was a habit he had. He ate so much glue, no amount was too much. Then he started to stick to all that he would touch. Soon no one could find the boy underneath of the objects that stuck to poor Keith." Looks like a problem. Peyton's huge backpack fell over, and a dozen glue sticks rolled out. Mr. Creature looked very unhappy. "Have you heard about Sarah? She crammed all her stuff inside of her desk because enough was enough." Sarah, case number 724C. None of you would ever stuff your desk too full, I'm sure. "Her desk was so full that it started to shake. It rattled and lurched like a minor earthquake. Kids ran for their lives and the teachers threw fits, and then Sarah's desk blew itself into bits." Amanda passed a note to Luke, but Mr. Creature snatched it from her hands. "Kylie, case number 274B. Kylie, the artist, was always the best at drawing when she should be taking a test. When a dragon she drew looked so real it blew smoke, the children suspected it must be a joke. But the dragon on paper then leapt from the page. It tore through the room in a flame-throwing rage." Oh dear. Oh dear. Are you not yet convinced? Did I notice a yawn? In case you're in doubt, do let me go on. I think I would be listening at this point. Listen up. Have you heard of the daydreamer Zach? His mind wandered off while he took out his snack. So he failed to see the open cage door and simply ignored the little tracks on the floor. And no one else noticed in a time to shout, "Freeze!" And the sandwich he held was of hamster and cheese. Surely you've never eaten a sandwich of hamster and cheese. Luke jumped when he felt a nibble inside his shirt pocket. Mr. Creature opened another file. Kate, case number 7299A. Kate always carried her backpack with pride. It was a great place for her pet monkey to hide. Now everyone knows that no pets allowed rule. When her monkey escaped, it wreaked havoc on the school. Then the children all thought they should bring a pet too. Soon the school was a mess and it smelled like a zoo. Not cool. Not cool at all. Gavin quietly tied Amanda's shoes together. Mr. Creature scowled. Then continued. Hank, case number 114B1. Now this impish fellow, whose nickname was Hank, like most little boys, loved to pull a good prank. He brought in a guppy to enliven this class, but in days it grew teeth that could chomp right through the glass. It wouldn't stop growling and the skin became dark. Now Hank really wished he'd not brought a shark. Oh dear. Mr. Creature paused and gazed upon the silent room. Then he reached into his case one last time. Chris, case number 55923. And last we have Chris, a mischievous sort, with a fondness for thieving, I'm sad to report. It seems the poor boy liked to trick for his treats. Dressed like a monster, he scared kids for sweets. But then he stole candy from a magical gnome. Now the trick was on Chris. He would never go home. Never? Amanda gulped. Why? Whispered Peyton. Why? When he took off his costume, Chris saw the gnome's curse. He had 7 green legs and something much worse. A note explained how, for the rest of his days, he'd teach other children about wicked ways. Dear Chris, I'm sorry to tell you this, but... Till he repaid his debt, a creature he'd be, and by now you should know that monster is me. Cool, said Luke. I'm sorry, Mr. Creature, said Amanda. You're the best substitute ever, said Gavin. Mr. Creature spied the clock on the wall. It all happened here, half a century ago at this very school. I thought you should know. Goodbye and good luck. My time here is done. I'll leave you a gift. For each there is one. The students in Miss Jenkins' class thanked Mr. Creature for the candy and promised never to torment their teacher, again. Then Mr. Creature was gone. Outside, Mr. Creature looked at in his case and saw that he had one last piece of candy he had stolen so many years ago. He just needed someone to give it to. Then he noticed a small old man nearby who wore a funny, familiar hat. Mr. Creature quietly slipped the candy into the man's pocket. As the substitute creature walked slowly down the windy street, he noticed a sweet smell in the autumn air. It was a smell he remembered from long ago. Sometimes when you're reading and you get ideas like, a certain smell may remind you of something, like chocolate chip cookies. They remind you of good things, sweet things. So he also had used his senses and he remembered this smell. His tentacles tingled, the smell pulled him forward, and the world started to spin around it. He began to run to a small house at the end of the street. There, his bike was still leaning on the step, and his dog was still waiting on the lawn. Everything was as if he had never been gone. Chris was home, and he was just in time for a Halloween treat. The end.